Hello everyone, a very warm welcome back to the channel. As those of you who've been following this series know, I was hoping to conclude tonight with my narrative of how my game of the bridges at Sedan was going. You are going to get the conclusion, and as I hinted, you are going to get lots of bloody carnage, but it was not quite of the type that I, or indeed any of the rest of you probably, were expecting. I'll have to show you what I mean in a moment, but I'm just going to linger on this picture of three mournful fairy battles when I say that I came home from work to discover that my cat, curse him, with an admirable degree of cunning but a deplorable degree of viciousness, had waited till I was safely out of the house before falling upon my hapless pilots on both sides and doing this. Let's just zoom out. So, unfortunately, I came home to behold the tangled wreckage of both German and British hopes and dreams. I mean, look at some of this stuff. These guys, look, it's those Stukas from my last video, and it's the flaming tanks. I'm flaming in more ways than one. They were over here. How on earth did he do that? But anyway, yes, not content with seeing the British forces bombed to oblivion, he decided he'd fling the infantry high into the air and send the tanks pretty much to the moon. Um, he has managed to rather dramatically crash that flight of BF 109, so I suppose that's good. Uh, yeah. I'm still looking for the other squadron of fairy battles, but that one appears to be heading towards the sun. Um, God alone knows what some of these people were doing. That shouldn't even be there. The only bit of the field that was intact, really, was this half, so I don't know. Maybe Oscar was being a bit pro-German. He has eliminated all of the escorting British fighters and he's taken the battles out of the equation. I suppose I could wildly speculate on what the outcome might have been. And really, in a sense, a lot of how the battle might have turned out hinged upon this critical bit here. Yes, the German fighters were going to have an absolute field day, tearing into those poor Blenheims, but their continued presence in the area was staying the hand of those formidable German flak batteries. They were about to try direct fire, but the Blenheims, if they could just keep it together, might have had enough of an opening to try bombing the bridge. Now, it's a difficult target, and it's got the hard target benefit because it's hard to bring down, and the -1 defensive rating. But at least one intact squadron maybe might have done something. The other potentially good thing, although it wouldn't have felt like it to the Blenheim crews, was that the Germans had been hitting them or were about to hit them with full squadrons. And while that's not a brilliant thing to have happen, it increases the likelihood that the Germans would become disrupted and then hopefully broken in their efforts to smash up the Blenheims. That, I hope, would have left a slightly clearer field for the battles, which were there vaguely, to have come boring in and added their own weight to the bombardment of the bridges. Maybe that's how it would have panned out. We'll never know now. Maybe the battles would have been slaughtered on the way in. There's no way of knowing. But that formation was very much on its last legs, even though it was quite triumphant over the Hurricanes they'd been beating up. And there was one final squadron of Hurricanes that was relatively fresh that could have tried, if it had ignored the remnants of the Stukas, it could have tried to escort the battles over here. So maybe, much to my frustration, I will never know. I will conclude with an apology. I'm very sorry that this series has been so badly disrupted by my four-legged friend. I will be taking steps to ensure that it doesn't happen again, because once or twice is funny. subsequent attempts probably a bit wearing, I think. Um, it is an odd one, though, because he seems to have games which he particularly favours when it comes to sprawling himself across them. And unfortunately for me, the excellent Wing Leader games are one of his favourites for using as a bed. Some of the other titles I play, he leaves completely alone, and I don't know why, but there we go. So I'm sorry I couldn't give you a definitive end of the battle report, but I think there is a possibility we would have at least have worried the bridge as the British. The Germans, I mean, really, they'd done so much damage to the British ground targets that those Stukas were really superfluous. They probably would have trundled over and chucked their bombs on the hapless Brits again, but I suppose it would have been simply a matter of shifting wreckage and further demoralising already terrified troops. So that was really a gesture. It's a pity things ended before the British had a chance to sling their first bomb and get some payback. But there we go, c'est la guerre, as our French allies say. Um, I'm afraid I will be putting this game away for a while. Other things have come up to occupy my time, but I will be getting it out again. And on the happy day where I get Wing Leader Supremacy, I really, really look forward to trying some of the missions in that game. So I will leave you on that one for the moment, linger mournfully on the tangled wreckage of the aircraft data cards. But I do want to say a big thank you to you all who've been following this series. I'm really glad you've all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all the feedback. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon, hopefully without interruption from Oscar the Cat, who has proven himself a worthy foe to both the RAF and the Luftwaffe. So, yes, on that slightly mournful note, gazing over the field of devastation that is the bridges of Sedan mission. Thank you very much and goodbye.